My day starts at 6 o'clock in the morning after I've had my first cup of coffee, and I'll step out the door and start walking along the pathways leading to the different aviaries where we have our birds and some of the different animals. And my job entails making sure that everybody is acting normal, make sure they've got plenty of food and water. And just basically do the rounds. At which time I then figure out, calculate in my mind exactly what I'm going to be doing for the day.
Hi, Audrey. How you doing? Huh? Good. Okay.
And generally I'll go from there. If it's not too busy a schedule, I might start a few new projects, maybe mending fences or fixing something, or starting a new project, or preparing for winter. We have a lot of firewood to cut. So there are a lot of different chores that have to be taken care of. We're all put in situations in our lives where I always say following that little voice within. From the time that I was in the Army, I had experiences where we rescued animals and we did work with people, and I began to become more sympathetic towards the animals and realized that there really wasn't much out there for them as far as someone taking care of them. When I first started in Panama in the Army, I became very interested in the wildlife. I was in situations where I saw animals in small cages and felt very sympathetic, especially with the parrots and some of the different small finch species. Being relatively cheap in a third world country, I decided to purchase them from these local villagers in some of the areas that we were. I would simply take the birds off far away and I would release them. Kind of gave me a good sense of doing something positive as opposed to just standing around watching. I felt the need to do something about it. And I think that's really what compelled me to begin working with this sanctuary, actually doing something as opposed to just talking about it. I basically started out as a hobby, taking in various birds when I started here in 1972. And over time, the place evolved. And it was an evolution that I just worked with. I didn't really plan it. It just sort of went on its own. Just like a wild horse. I just got on and just never got off. It's just taken off. Okay, now we'll head in here. And we're a nonprofit sanctuary. Hi, Dudley. Hello, Dudley. How you doing? Let me change your water. Get your water because the reality was there was no way I could financially support this on my own. I would say we're somewhere in the area of about probably 700-800 different birds and various small animals that live here. We have the eagles, the hawks, the owls. We have the turtles, and we have a lot of different small birds, parrots, parakeets, and basically what they are birds that have been brought here over the years to give them a home. And this sanctuary serves as a permanent home for them. Oh my goodness, food, peanuts. There you go. Oh boy.
Yeah.
It was the early 1990s. Emus and ostriches were part of this crazy get-rich-quick type scheme where people were investing literally thousands of dollars in emus and ostriches. It was supposed to be this meat of the future. Around 1995, that entire bubble burst. And now all of a sudden there are emus all over the place. People were just discarding them, letting them go. It was really a sad state of affairs, and that's how most of these emus wound up here. People were finding them along the highways. I was getting calls from the state police. From time to time there'd be an emu someplace, and they'd bring them here. One is a trumpeter swan, which originated from Cornell University Originally, that swan came into their care at the veterinary college at Cornell because its eyes had been burned out, and they were puzzled as to how this came about. I've had some experience in the past with this, and I knew right away that it was copper sulfate. Taking copper sulfate to control the algae deposits in a pond. Subsequently, the swan came swimming along, got itself involved in that copper sulfate, and burned its eyes out. So now I have to sort of readapt this poor bird in a situation where it's in a smaller environment and where it's able to get around, because we have to keep in mind that this animal is blind, and it's going to have to figure out where to find its food and its water, and it has to be in a safe environment. So we put these two swans, the blind one and then the old swan, together, where they're both compatible, but they're in a safe environment, and they can still live their lives out, you know, in a dignified way, but in the same token also too be here as ambassadors of their species. People can come and look at them close up and maybe learn a little bit more about them. We had our doubts. We didn't think it was even going to happen. We all pulled together, and Mitch is here. He's now residing at the Berkshire Bird Paradise. He's at home with many other eagles who, like himself, were shot. We have some that were hit by cars. We have some that were, we have one that was hit by an airplane. We have one that was mauled by a bear. Everybody has a story. When I first started with the eagles, I sort of had doubts, you know, will I ever be able to successfully breed them? So many people kept saying it's impossible, you can't do it, it can't be done. All of a sudden it happened. You know, they laid eggs, and then all of a sudden one day I look into a nest and here's two healthy little babies bobbing their heads up and down. So in this particular case, what we're really trying to accomplish is to have these birds return to the hacking tower periodically to get their food and to also strengthen their wings and their ability to hunt and find food on their own. And this entire process could take up to 5-6 weeks until they're able to take off and take care of themselves in the wild. Good boy. What I was looking for was to see the strength in those wings. And I noticed that his wings were, you know, not bad, but they weren't the best. So I knew that he's only got limited flight. So as he takes off, he's going to probably land in a tree. But the object is we want him to come back because he has to fledge here. He's going to come back and visit his parent. He's going to come to eat. And he's gradually going to get stronger and stronger. If they cut and run, they're going to die. There's a reality with all birds of prey. 60% of them die in their first year. Over 200 million birds get killed every year. 200 million. And it's because of lack of, they just don't know how to survive. So they'll die in their first winter. What we're looking for is for the baby eagle to return and come back for his food. They're going to be in close concert with adult birds who are going to kind of teach them, you know, the sounds and some of the different things, techniques that they use. Even though they're here in captivity, they're still learning. And so through this whole soft release, what we're trying to do is give these birds a chance to strengthen their wings, to be able to fly around, get a lay of the land. And over time, they begin to gain the confidence to fend for themselves in the wild. They'll be strong. Right now it's critical. See, this was perfect release. Yeah, pulls the metal. Oh yeah, that looks good. All right. By including more people, we're able to reach out to different segments of the community, be they working with kids from the inner city, various schools, colleges, kids interning. We have to buy corn from a local farm. I go through approximately a ton of corn every week. We also purchase various vegetables like, say, watermelon, romaine lettuce, nuts, almonds, walnuts, peanuts. The rats are donated. The DOT brings us roadkill deer. The Bennington Fish Hatchery, they supply us with fresh fish so we can feed our eagles. On a practical basis, I pretty much oversee everything that goes on. I have to because the person in charge has to have a good oversight of what's going on. For example, when I wake up in the morning, my first chore is to walk around the facilities and make sure that everyone is safe. More and more people are leaving here with the idea that, you know, a lot of these things are not impossible, that even a little person, I always call myself the little nobody out in the middle of nowhere, but the reality is each individual has talents. Everybody has a gift. And I think that if you use your talents and your gifts wisely, those things radiate out to others and others will follow. I have to honestly say, though, there's a lot of enjoyment that comes out of it. And that's the most important thing. Love what you're doing, and it's almost like synchronizing yourself with whatever's out there. You're in sync with the universe. I think the birds speak for themselves. One of my best sayings when visitors come, I always say, let the birds do the talking. That pretty much sums everything up. If you can come out and enjoy the birds, it speaks for itself. I don't have to tell you any more than that.
Yeah, you got it. See how nice? See how nice?